Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out 2-sentence horror. Story 1. When I opened the box at my doorstep I found the severed toe of my girlfriend. I buried her only an hour ago. Story 2. I went to the car show even though I am a asexual sex phobic. Story 3. My girlfriend scolded me after I got frustrated at my dog and shoved him with my ankle. It's more like this, she demonstrated, promptly kicking him in the side. Story 4. Boy, I sure hope we're having chicken nuggets for dinner tonight. Story 5. How much do you earn? Enough to last a lifetime, he said, revealing a 1-hour time bomb ticking off on his chest. Story 6. I always try to let my roommate know I care by leaving her notes around the house. I wonder when I should introduce myself. Story 7. I know, pretty silly that her house has chicken legs, huh? I asked my daughter, turning the page in the storybook as she wrinkled her nose thoughtfully. Yeah daddy, it reminds me of the house Tommy went in last year before he ran away. Story 8. I can fix this, I said while panicking. After seeing those numbers on the scale I raised the knife to the fattest parts of my body. Story 9. I was so excited for the day that I finally moved my bedroom into the basement. As I turned off the lights and saw a dark figure in the doorway, the fears of the basement came back to me. Story 10. When the cave-in first happened it felt like I would never get out of here. Centuries later that hopeless feeling still remains. Story 11. After the crash mangled my body I closed my eyes and waited for death to take me, it never did. Story 12. SCP-23, Daddy, Rebecca asked, tugging on her father's sleeve. There were 7 rabbits but now there are only 6. Her father smiled gently, relocked the basement, and said through the door, your arithmetic is much better than your sister's was, my little rabbit. Story 13. After driving a classmate to suicide, my sister and her friends decided to make a life-size dummy of poor Lucy just so they could continue to mock her even in death. During a sleepover they cursed and laughed at the dummy, but once they had fallen asleep, Lucy woke up and exacted her revenge. Story 14. The lifeguard is a great example of the motto work smarter not harder. Whenever he goes out to a rescue, he makes sure to bring along a do not resuscitate necklace. Story 15. The sub I thought had disappeared forever was back. Then I looked down and saw the hands reaching out for me in the deep Atlantic waters, the Titanic floating above me. Story 16. But I heard him exclaim as he drive into sight. Happy Christmas to all, this will be your last night. Story 17. My date chuckled sweetly at a joke I made and my heart warmed. I liked very innocent girls because I loved how devastated and desperate her family would be on TV when she went missing, and I felt giddy imagining it now. Story 18. My mom seems to be getting better. Time to put bleach in her soup again. Story 19. Even though you have been shredded into a fleshy pile you still live and feel. Story 20. Tragedy plus time equals comedy. So I can't help but laugh as the doomsday clock finally clicks midnight. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 21. Up on the housetop reindeer paws. They must have smelled all the blood. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 22. The news said 5-year-old girl missing after family shopping trip. Hey Sally, look, you're famous, I said as I pointed to the TV. Story 23. The bored prince shot an arrow straight into the sky and giggled as he dodged around like a fool trying to keep track of it in the sun. The scores of prisoners buried just below the dirt breathing through straws could only pray. Story 24. The red luminescent mass on his nose is caused by a highly infectious and deadly strain of cordyceps fungus, the veterinarian said. Santa and Rudolph looked at each other with widening eyes as the veterinarian asked, have you traveled outside the country recently? Story 25. This is just a toy wand and it never had the power to banish demons, says my patient, throwing away the plastic wand. As I leave the room, I cross her name off the list, and have an orderly bring her weapon to the incinerator. Story 26. Since my daughter hadn't come home yet, I decided to call her on the phone, even knowing that she doesn't like me to call her when she's with her friends. My blood froze when I heard her cell phone ring in her room. Story 27. I wanted to show solidarity with my wife while she was in labor. As my dick started to come apart, I wished I had thought of another way to do so. Story 28. The kid's father drowned while they were swimming with dolphins. We take our job at the Make-A-Wish Foundation very seriously. Story 29. Our son screamed his lungs out, but we refused to check for monsters under his bed anymore. If we had only checked on him when he got quiet, we may have been able to explain the blood stain in his bed to the police. Story 30. After finally freeing his brother from years of torture, he marched through the streets with his head held high. As he was shoving the severed head on a pike at the edge of town, he shouted, "Let this be a warning to anyone else who disputes my claim to the throne." Story 31. Please, I can't live without him, I cried to the doctor while holding my husband's lifeless body. We woke up a week later as medical miracle, the world's first successful head transplant from a corpse to a living body. Story 32. As he tied the rope around my neck, I had one question. Why'd he ask for my autograph first? Story 33. I remember hearing that mosquitoes have teeth. After my recent experiences, I think a more accurate way to say that is mosquitoes collect teeth. Story 34. My boyfriend surprised me by sneaking some flowers into my apartment during my long double shift. It's so sweet how he remembered that lilies were my favorite. I named my cat after them, after all. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 35. I couldn't believe my girlfriend finally gave me the keys to her apartment after 3 years of dating. Seeing flashes of red and blue lights while going outside, I figured it was not voluntarily. Story 36. Embalming fluid is typically introduced into a cadaver's blood vessels by means of a simple pump, said the coroner to the detectives, indicating the body on the gurney with a slight gesture. But in the case of this unfortunate Jane Doe, the pump was her own heart. Story 37. I asked the magic mirror to show me the day I would die. Even my clothes stayed the same. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 38. My doctor just called me back about my toxicology tests from earlier this month and is concerned that I might be hosting a species of parasitic mold. Despite agreeing with her, I was slightly offended since I'm not a parasite but one of many fungal replicas of the original host whose spore-coated body is still providing sustenance to us. Story 39. As we venture farther outside of the boundary of the observable universe, we notice a multitude of anomalies among the vast nothingness. The best way to describe it is that it looks as if the world is an unfinished game, and the developers have long abandoned it. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 40. Haunted by the stares of all the people around her, she writhed and screamed as she attempted to scrape off all of the human flesh on her bones. But when there was nothing but her skeleton left, she realized she could never be free from those stares, that saw her as nothing but a body. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 41. As we watched the wind blow at the enemy's direction, we set up our gas tanks and let the gas flow towards their direction. However, we were surprised when they somehow came back from the dead. Story 42. Today's the 9th day in a row they sacrificed a virgin in my name. I don't condone their actions at all, but someone keeps fulfilling their prayers. Story 43. Once I was sure the family was fast asleep. It took me 4 minutes and 17 seconds to break and walk upstairs, smother the baby in his crib and get back to my car. After pushing off the apocalypse for another 72 hours, I wait patiently for the voice to give me the name of the next sacrifice so that life may continue. Story 44. They say we learn from our mistakes. But they don't understand that one mistake could mean everything to you, which is why I couldn't save them. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 45. I couldn't sleep because my daughter kept crying all through the night. I now know to never forget to visit her grave. Story 46. In desperate obedience to a divine command, the man unleashed a virulent plague, believing it was the key to humanity's salvation. As the world succumbed to the merciless epidemic, he realized too late that divine intentions could be as unfathomable as the darkness that now enveloped mankind. Story 47. The doctor was always so kind to the children, even I'm this hellhole. As I sent my children with him, I didn't find out until after our liberation what Dr. Mengele did to them. Story 48. Gugu gaga, I said. But my cry for help rung hollow inside the metal walls of the microwave. Story 49. Wish from genie to see the truth of reality. I collapsed to my knees crying, no longer seeing the world I knew but only seeing pixels. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 50. The little boy rushed to his bed to hide from the monster. Little did he know, I was already there. Story 51. You will probably dismiss this as another normal Reddit post. Even so, this is the only way I can warn you to be careful when it happens tomorrow. Story 52. After having spent days trapped in the bottom of the flipped battleship, I welcomed death's embrace. Suddenly I was shaken awake by my friend, who informed me that the Arizona had just been hit. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 53. It's time for my shot, I said to my husband, who then stung me with the insulin pump. With tears in my eyes, I said, it's time for my shot. Story 54. Why is there so much human sacrifice and dead baby stuff on this sub? Sir, you ordered the Friday special, the sandwich ingredients are clearly listed on the board. Story 55. Up late getting a drink of water, I blearily gaze out at the reflection of the lights in the window. My heart skips a beat as I count 5 lights in the glass, compared to the 3 in the room. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.